take a slow, comfortable breath. And as you breathe out, allow the busy parts of your day to become just a little quieter. There is nowhere you need to be. Nothing left to finish. Nothing to solve. Only this quiet little story and the peaceful path waiting just ahead. Tonight, we are going to visit a place that few people ever find. Hidden beyond gentle hills, past a slow-moving stream, and beneath the branches of very old trees, lies a woodland where every evening seems just a little softer than the last. The leaves never hurry there. The wind always speaks in whispers. Even the stars seem to appear more slowly, as though they too enjoy taking their time. It is a place where every small creature knows the importance of rest, and where every path, no matter how winding, always seems to lead gently home. Deep inside this peaceful woodland, beneath the roots of a great old oak tree, lived a little hedgehog named Lumi. Lumi was smaller than most hedgehogs. His tiny nose was always twitching with curiosity. His bright little eyes loved discovering beautiful things. Not exciting things, not noisy things. Simply beautiful things. A flower opening in the morning. A feather resting on soft moss. The gentle sound of rain landing on fern leaves. Or the quiet glow of the moon reflected upon still water. These little moments made Lumi smile. And if you had ever met him, you would probably have smiled too. Every morning, Lumi woke as sunlight slipped quietly through the little round window of his cozy burrow. The first thing he always noticed was the smell. Fresh earth, dry moss, warm wood, and just the tiniest hint of lavender that his grandmother had hung from the ceiling many seasons ago. She used to say, "A peaceful home always smells like kindness." Lumi wasn't completely sure what kindness smelled like, but he liked believing she was right. He stretched each tiny paw, one after another, until every little muscle had awakened. Then he carefully straightened the soft blanket covering his tiny bed. His grandmother had another saying, "A tidy beginning makes for a peaceful day." So, Lumi always made his bed. Not because anyone told him to, but because it simply felt nice. He fluffed his little pillow. Outside, the woodland was slowly waking too. A robin greeted the morning with a cheerful little song. Tiny droplets of dew rested upon blades of grass like sparkling pearls. Somewhere nearby, a squirrel was collecting acorns for the cooler months ahead. Far away, Lumi could hear the gentle murmur of the little river flowing past Moss Bridge. He always enjoyed that sound, no matter where he wandered. The river somehow reminded him that everything was moving exactly as it should. Never rushing, never stopping. simply flowing. Lumi stepped outside his burrow. The moss beneath his little feet felt cool and wonderfully soft. He paused for a moment, closed his eyes, and breathed in the fresh woodland air. It carried the scent of pine trees, wildflowers, and damp earth after yesterday's gentle rain. If peace had a scent, perhaps it smelled something like this. That evening, something unusual happened. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the distant hills, the first stars began to appear above the woodland. Lumi watched quietly. One, then another, then another. Each tiny light seemed to arrive with perfect patience. The sky slowly transformed from pale blue to gentle lavender, then deep velvet blue. Soon, hundreds of tiny stars shimmered above the forest. Lumi loved watching the stars. He had watched them many times before, but tonight, they somehow looked even brighter, as though someone had polished every single one. He wondered why, not with excitement, only with gentle curiosity. He tilted his little head, his nose twitched, his ears listened carefully to the quiet evening. Then, very softly, he whispered to himself, I wonder where the quietest place in the whole woodland might be to watch the stars. The thought made him smile. He wasn't trying to find treasure or adventure or anything grand, only the most peaceful place where the night sky could be enjoyed in perfect stillness. Tomorrow, he decided, he would begin looking. Not quickly, there was no hurry. Perhaps he would walk to Moss Bridge first, or maybe Lantern Meadow. Perhaps Old Owl Auto would know somewhere special. There was plenty of time. The stars would return tomorrow evening, and the evening after that, and the evening after that too. The sky was wonderfully patient. So Lumi decided he would be patient as well. He took one last look at the sparkling stars before quietly returning inside his little burrow. He folded his tiny scarf, placed his favorite pebble beside his bed, blew out his little lantern, and nestled beneath his warm blanket. Outside, the woodland grew quieter. Inside, Lumi closed his eyes, already dreaming of tomorrow's gentle journey beneath the stars. Morning arrived slowly in the whispering woodland, not with loud sounds or bright flashes of light, but gently, as though the forest itself was waking from a peaceful dream. A pale golden glow filtered through the branches of the great old oak tree. Tiny beams of sunlight danced across the moss outside Lumi's little burrow. One by one, small birds welcomed the... Somewhere, there must be a place where the night felt even quieter. A place where every tiny star could be admired without hurry. Not because his own home wasn't wonderful. It certainly was. He simply wondered. Lumi stretched each tiny paw. His little nose twitched. The familiar scent of moss, warm wood, and dried lavender greeted him once again. It made him smile. He remembered the thought that had come to him beneath last night's stars. After making his bed with careful little paws, Lumi prepared a simple breakfast. A handful of hazelnuts, a few sweet blackberries gathered the day before, and a warm cup of pine needle tea. What other peaceful places might be waiting beyond the familiar woodland paths? Curiosity, when it is gentle, can be a lovely companion. He enjoyed taking his time. The tea smelled fresh and comforting. The berries tasted sweet with just a hint of morning dew. Outside, a soft breeze carried the scent of blooming wildflowers into his little home. Lumi closed his eyes for a moment. He breathed in slowly, then breathed out. The world seemed wonderfully peaceful. Before beginning any journey, Lumi always visited the small wooden shelf beside his doorway. Resting there were several tiny treasures. A smooth river pebble, a feather from a snowy owl, a little acorn cap, a tiny blue flower that had long since dried. Each one reminded him of a happy day. Today, he gently picked up the smooth pebble. Lumi slipped the pebble into the small pocket of his little satchel. Not because he expected to become lost, but because it felt comforting. It fit perfectly into his tiny paw. Grandmother had once told him, "If you carry something that reminds you of home, you never feel very far away." Outside, the woodland had become busier. Pip the squirrel hurried along a nearby branch, carrying 2 large acorns. He waved cheerfully. "Good morning, Lumi." "Good morning, Pip," Lumi replied with a warm smile. "You seem busy today." "Oh, yes," laughed Pip softly. "There are always a few more acorns to gather." He balanced them carefully before continuing along the branch. "Good morning, Pip," Lumi replied with a warm smile. "You seem busy today." "Oh, yes," laughed Pip softly. "There are always a few more acorns to gather." He balanced them carefully before continuing along the branch. The woodland path curved gently between clusters of soft ferns. Every few steps, Lumi paused. Not because he was tired, simply because there was always something beautiful to notice. Lumi watched him disappear into the leaves. Everyone in the woodland had their own peaceful rhythm. Pip enjoyed preparing. The birds enjoyed singing. The rabbits enjoyed gardening. And Lumi enjoyed wandering. A tiny spider web sparkled with morning dew. It shimmered like delicate silver thread. Nearby, a butterfly rested quietly upon a pale blue flower. Its wings opened, then closed again, slowly, almost as though it too were breathing peacefully. The breeze carried the quiet rustling of leaves high above. Sunlight slipped through the branches, painting gentle patterns across the forest floor. Lumi loved these little moments. They asked for nothing. They simply invited him to notice. Soon, the familiar sound of flowing water reached his ears. The little stream was never in a hurry. It curved through the woodland exactly as it always had. Clear, calm, patient. Tiny fish glided quietly through the crystal clear water. A pair of dragonflies skimmed gracefully across the surface. For a little while, Lumi simply stood there, watching, listening, breathing. Sometimes, doing nothing at all is exactly the right thing to do. Lumi stepped onto Moss Bridge. The old wooden bridge was covered in soft green moss that felt wonderfully gentle beneath his paws. He leaned against the smooth wooden railing. Below, as he continued across the bridge, he noticed something unusual. Far in the distance, beyond the familiar trees, stood a small hill he had never climbed before. Its gentle slope rose above the woodland canopy. From there, perhaps, the stars would seem even closer. Lumi smiled softly. There was no need to hurry toward it today. The hill had waited there for many seasons. It would happily wait one more day, if necessary. Lumi remained on Moss Bridge for a little while longer. There was no need to hurry. The little stream below continued its quiet journey through the woodland. The water curled gently around smooth gray stones, making the softest whispering sound. It was the kind of sound that seemed to wash busy thoughts away, one by one. Lumi rested both little paws upon the wooden railing. He looked down into the clear water. Tiny silver fish drifted together, then slowly apart, before gathering once more. No one appeared to be leading them. They simply moved together, as though they all understood the quiet rhythm of the stream. Lumi smiled. Perhaps, he thought, peace was something that could be shared. A gentle breeze wandered through the trees. The leaves answered with their familiar whisper. Some leaves shimmered in sunlight. Others rested quietly in the shade. Everything seemed perfectly happy, simply being where it belonged. Lumi took one slow breath, then another. The fresh woodland air filled his tiny lungs with the scent of pine, wild mint, and damp moss. He noticed something. Although he had set out this morning to begin searching for the quietest place beneath the stars, he already felt wonderfully peaceful. Perhaps the journey itself was becoming part of what he was searching for. The afternoon passed gently. Lumi wandered beside the stream, crossed little patches of soft moss, and paused often to admire flowers dancing in the breeze. A family of rabbits smiled as they watered their tiny vegetable garden. A robin landed nearby, tilting its head curiously before singing a cheerful little tune. Even the butterflies seemed to float more slowly now, their colorful wings catching little pieces of golden sunlight. The woodland carried on with its peaceful day. Nobody rushed, nobody worried. Everyone simply enjoyed the quiet beauty surrounding them. Lumi thought perhaps that was one of the woodland's greatest secrets. When no one hurried, even time itself seemed to slow down. As afternoon slowly melted into evening, the sunlight became warmer. Long golden rays stretched gently between the trees. The shadows grew softer. The breeze became cooler. Lumi knew it was almost time to return home once again. The stars would soon begin their quiet appearance once again. He looked once more toward the distant hill beyond the treetops. It was still there, waiting patiently, just as it always had. Lumi smiled. "There is always tomorrow," he whispered softly. Some journeys do not need to be finished all at once. Some are loveliest when they unfold one peaceful step at a time. The familiar path home welcomed him with every gentle turn. Soon, he could see the great old oak tree standing proudly among the woodland. Its wide branches stretched peacefully toward the evening sky. Warm light glowed from the tiny round window of his little burrow. Home. There was something comforting about that simple word. Home was not the grandest place in the woodland, nor the highest, nor the quietest, but it carried familiar scents, familiar sounds, and familiar memories. Sometimes that was more than enough. Inside, Lumi carefully placed the smooth river pebble back upon the little wooden shelf. He folded his tiny satchel, straightened the blanket on his bed, then lit his little lantern. Its warm golden light filled the burrow with a soft, cozy glow. Outside, evening settled gently across the whispering woodland. One by one, the first stars appeared overhead, exactly as they had the night before, exactly as they would tomorrow night. Lumi climbed onto the little wooden stool beside his window. He watched the stars quietly, not searching, not wondering, simply enjoying them. He realized something gentle. Perhaps there wasn't only one perfect place to watch the stars. Perhaps every peaceful place became perfect when you slowed down enough to notice its quiet beauty. The thought filled him with a warm little smile. Lumi blew out the lantern. The room became softly illuminated by moonlight alone. He slipped beneath his warm blanket, The familiar scent of lavender, moss, and old oak wood surrounded him. Outside, the breeze whispered through the branches. The little stream continued its endless, gentle song. Far away, an owl called softly into the peaceful night. Lumi closed his eyes. He knew that tomorrow, the quiet hill beyond the trees would still be waiting. There would be more woodland paths to wander, more peaceful moments to discover, more stars to admire. But those adventures could wait until another day. For now, it was simply time to rest, time to breathe, time to dream. And as the woodland settled into silence, Lumi drifted gently into sleep.